Redeemer Bible Church started as a home church, really, in our home at the very beginning, and we in our home we had the new pastor that we called actually give his first sermon in our basement. That was good, except when we got going for a few months, it got to be a little crowded there, so we decided to find a place, and we decided on a Legion Hall to meet in. But that was kind of bad because we had to clean it before we could meet, and then we also had to put up all the chairs, and then the smell was terrible, stale beer from the night before.
I came in 1969 because one of the women from this church came and gave me the gospel and brought me to faith in Christ. And I never was raised in a church. I was surprised to find there was a church that taught the Bible as something to be used every day by Christians. And I was hooked.
But then after that, of course, we grew, and we didn't grow in numbers too much, although we did grow. And then we actually ended up hearing about another church that was available, the one we're in now. That building was so beautiful. When we first walked in, we couldn't believe how nice it was in comparison, and we're still there today, of course, but that was perfect for us and worked out well for many years up until now, when we're deciding to make some changes.
When I came to Redeemer in September of 2002, the church was about 45 people, thereabouts 45 people. Pretty demoralized group because they had been through a very difficult time with the previous pastor. The church had gotten up to about 200 people, and then there was just a slow attrition over 5 years under that pastor's leadership, and it got ugly. And so when I got there, people seemed very discouraged. People seemed like they needed a spark, and so I decided right away to preach through the book of Philippians, because Philippians is such an encouraging book. It gets us rooted in the gospel right away, and that sort of began the process with my time at Redeemer.
When we found Bob, we weren't looking for someone that young, but he had everything else. And I began wondering, what's he going to do with us? How are we going to keep up with this young man?
When you're in a building that's 30 years old, all kinds of challenges come up, and I think it's really funny that when we first had our meeting to talk about this as a church, about doing our refit of our building, that day, our women's bathroom exploded all over the fellowship hall. So it was, we couldn't have planned a better day to talk about our building than when, sewage is running into our fellowship hall. And that's just one of the sort of challenges that you face when you're dealing with an older building. You have parking issues, particularly as the church is growing, and the church has been growing in leaps and bounds over the last 8.5 years.
I really do think that the current facility is a barrier in many ways. I know for me personally, I've been very reluctant over the last couple of years to invite other people to attend Redeemer because I fear their reaction. It just is out of step with the other types of facilities we're used to in the southwest suburbs. It doesn't look like what people are used to going to.
And the other thing is handicap accessibility. We just don't have any of that. And so when people bring someone who needs that kind of facility, an unbeliever, we don't have the facilities for them.
I think because of our current physical size, structure of the building, I think if we can expand the size of the building a little more, it gives us an opportunity to welcome more visitors into the facility, into our family.
I think there's, in my mind, two key needs that aren't being met. And as a newly married couple who are looking to one day have children, I think the Sunday school is definitely one. As far as their rooms are not big enough for the children in the classrooms. And just the fact that we have to have parents drop off their kids, walk them across the street into another building, due to the fact that we don't have enough rooms in our church for the children,
one of the things that makes me most excited about having a new building is the capability to have adult Sunday school. We can't do that now, the building doesn't allow it, and I just think we need to invigorate and re-energize our adult Sunday school ministry.
Of course, when you talk about refitting a building or doing a building expansion, you want to know, well, what exactly are we going to do? Let me point out 3 of the main things. Number 1, we're going to be doing a new sanctuary, a 500-seat sanctuary that's going to accommodate our people, and at least to begin with, enable us to get back to one service, which is something we really cherish at Redeemer. Secondarily, the current sanctuary, which will be just south of the new sanctuary, so the new sanctuary just north, the current sanctuary will be expanded and turned into our new fellowship hall with a kitchen, and because there'll be sort of flowing space between where the lobby is, the sanctuary is, and the new fellowship hall is, we'll be able to accommodate lots of people in order to sit down and have a meal together. And so it's our joy and of course our hope that we would be able to move back to a love feast where we actually have a dinner together and celebrate communion. And then the third thing is we'll have expanded space for classrooms to accommodate all of our kids. Making that trek from the north building to the south building in the middle of winter is a kind of deterrent to a robust involvement in children's ministry. We're so grateful for the people who are involved. We have such great material, and we want to be able to get the gospel to our kids effectively, and being able to have all of them, including nursery age kids, all up at the main building is going to just be a boon for people bringing their kids to ministry at Redeemer. So 3 things: new sanctuary, new fellowship hall with kitchen, and expanded space, classroom space for kids. Obviously, when we're talking about a project of this magnitude, it's not going to be something that's cheap. It's going to cost us money to be able to do this. We're trying to raise $3 million in order to be able to get the whole project done. And obviously, in order for us to do that, everybody needs to be participating. We all need to sort of join hands and sort of pitch in the ways that we can over the course of the next 3 years. So I would just ask that you'd pray about how you'd participate. This is our church family. Our family is growing. We need more space. And how can we, Father, how can I participate in this financially in a way that, on the one hand, stretches me and grows me in the area of generosity, but on the other hand is wise in the use of my resources. And of course, that's going to be different for every family in the church. And so we really need to be, each of us, really praying about how we would participate in this campaign to expand our gospel vision for the Twin Cities. It's our belief that as we do this expansion, we'll be able to reach more and more people with the good news of Jesus, and we're looking forward to how God's going to continue to multiply gospel pace setters in the Twin Cities from Minnetonka and beyond. So on May 22nd, we're going to take, as you've prayed about this and considered this and talked about this with your spouse if you're married, on May 22nd, we're going to ask you to make a commitment, to put it on a card and let us know, let the leaders of Redeemer know, how much you're willing to participate in the program over the course of the next 3 years. So the number that you will give is a 3-year number that you plan to give through installments over the course of the next 3 years. So that's May 22nd. Be praying about that for everybody, not just for yourself, but for everybody, and we'll see what the Lord does. You know, in the final analysis, we don't want a building more than we want the will of God. We don't want an expansion more than we want the will of God. To want something more than you want the will of God is to put yourself in a very, very dangerous place. So we're saying, Lord, this is what we want. Use us to bring this about. But in the final analysis, in the end, do what seems good to you.